Hello makers. Some of you may be aware that recently I had a 3D pen die mid welding process, and so I tested out one that I had on hand as a replacement in case of a failure, and I also ordered a new one to replace the one that failed. As it turns out, the one I opened up to replace the one that failed wasn't really suitable for PLA welding. It ran too fast. So I waited until this one turned up. This was supposed to be very much like the ones that I've been using, which have actually been very good for welding. So I sliced it open to make sure it was all in there, but that's as far as I've really gone. The 3D pen I've ordered is supposed to be AC 110 to 240 volts and coloured blue, and this one appears to be coloured blue. Hasn't got marked on a plug of any kind. It is an E4800BL. Okay, fluorescent filament is supplied with it. Interesting. Okay, so on the front of the box, net weight 60 grams, product size 190 long, 30 wide, 45 high, power supply 5 volt 2 amp, power adapter AC 100 to 240V, 50-60 Hertz, 0.35 amps. Voltage DC 5 plus or minus 0.25 volt. Filament material PLA 1.75 or ABS 1.75. Printing temp 160 to 230. Working conditions 10C to 35C. Relative humidity less than 85%. Loading material mode, press load key constant, spew out filament material. Sounds easy enough. The pen itself is, well, from the outside it looks identical, except the last one I had, I haven't thrown it out yet because I have a bad habit of hoarding, was 12 volt DC. This one is 5 volt DC 2 amps, so that's 10 watts. This one, the old one, doesn't tell me what the amps are to it. From the outside, apart from being slightly different blues, they look almost identical. I will be using this with PLA, and I will be using the white PLA. I have a short length handy ready to do this. Also in the box is a USB cable with a plug on the end to suit the plug on the back of this, and a set of instructions. In the listing for this, it did say AC 100 volt, 240 volt, but there is no way this is going to be connected to 240 volts, not in this format. So I think the ad was a little bit, in its title, was very misleading. In the specifications in it, it did actually list it as not having an adapter, and it did list it as being 5 volt. Still, the title is very misleading. Operation guide: connect with power, 5 volt 2 amp. Mode select, long press on off key for 2 seconds on off key. So that would be that one. Turn on key, preheating key, discharge key. Turn off key, unloading. Interesting. We'll see how it actually behaves when we connect it up to power. Now, as it happens, I do have a 5 volt 2 amp adapter that was once supplied with a tablet. It's an older version, but that works. It's the same one I used to test the other 3D pen with. Alright, so long press on off key. Here we go, turned on. Pays to read the instructions. It has ABS and PLA. Press the on button or the feed button, and it starts heating. This works differently to the last one. Fluorescent. Okay, so this is set for 190, and it will let me set it higher on PLA, so that's now set to 200. Pressing the bottom button once starts the feeding process. And here comes some filament. That looks like a very good feed rate for plastic welding. Pressing the front button down here causes a slight retraction and stops. For this little test, this part was designed to have square nuts installed in it, but since I don't have square nuts yet and they're not due for a little while and I really want to start putting screws in, I've put some hexagonal nuts in, holding them in with these 2 screws, and I'm going to try and weld them in. So we'll see how this works. Certainly sounds different to the last ones. That feels pretty good. really not a lot to a 3D pen. They've got a DC motor, not a stepper motor. They have a 10-watt heater in them instead of the 40 that we used to on the 3D printers. But they also don't work anywhere near as hard as 3D printers. So that seems to work quite well. Welded those two nuts in without too much hassle. So apart from being a little misleading and slightly different in the operation, it seems to be quite alright. So we'll be able to continue with R2D2's dome, welding it together. The backing out of the filament is not governed by the speed of this control. It is full speed out. Holding the button stops it extruding, and then it turns off by holding the button in again. Easy to use once you read the instructions. The speed control is easy to operate with one hand. It's not a bad little unit. We'll see how it goes over the next few welds.